Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Rudabe Shabazi.
And I am Aaron Nolan. We are monitoring breaking news out of Rockford, Illinois. That's where police say 3 people are dead, 3 others wounded after an active shooter situation. NewsNation reporter Whitney Martin has a live report from a bowling alley where this happened. We're going to go to Whitney in just a few moments. But first, former FBI agent Phil Andrew joins us live.
He is the principal and founder of Pax Group, LLC, and was an FBI special agent from 1997 to 2018. Thank you for being back here on a different story this hour. Police are saying this shooting happened both inside and outside the bowling alley, and they believe this was a random attack. What are your initial thoughts about what might have happened here?
Well, this is a dynamic, obviously police-involved situation. So the information we're going to get probably is going to come directly from the police in some sort of announcement shortly, as I understand. Rockford, Illinois, which is just about 90 minutes west of Chicago, has experienced a significant increase in gun violence. This will be 3 more or 6 more shootings to add to a 31 for the year, which is a significant increase over last year for them. They've been grappling with this, even with a call from the community to try to reduce this. So this is a surprising event for them this evening. But I think that we just don't know enough yet. Early reports indicate this might have been 2 groups in the alley, and there was some sort of confrontation. But at this point, we only know that 3 are injured and perhaps there are 3 dead.
And we're told that police have a person of interest in custody. You've experienced things like this before. Walk us through the conversations they're having right now with that person, what they're trying to find out.
They're going to do everything they can to secure the environment and make sure that the injured are cared for, and then preserving evidence. And then they're going to take whoever they have an interest to a safe location where they can begin debriefing them, interviewing them, trying to understand who they are, fully identifying them, and interviewing the witnesses. I would expect that a building or a business like this would have other people around, and that they're going to get a significant amount of information from the interviews that they conduct, including who they have currently potentially in custody.
I realize this is a breaking situation. It's still very fluid, but the entire country is kind of on edge following the explosion in Nashville yesterday. Is there any kind of nexus that you would immediately draw between the violence yesterday and tonight?
You know, I think it's important not to draw a nexus. That overall in the U.S., we've seen a significant increase in gun violence, and that really has related to the number of guns that are bought during this COVID crisis and COVID itself, the restrictions, racial tensions, and the economic burden that this has put on folks. Some of those are factors, but we've seen a surge in gun violence in most major metropolitan areas and a significant increase in suicides. So it's important to understand that context as we digest what's taken place in Nashville and these 2 mass shootings that have taken place potentially in Virginia and now in Illinois.
And we have been reporting on this increase in gun violence across the country, really. What do you attribute this to? Is it the pandemic? Is it economic factors? What do you think it could be?
Well, we live in a nation that has perhaps 400 million guns. So there are more guns than there are people in this country. And anytime that there's a disagreement or a conflict, and when a weapon is present, it significantly increases the likelihood that that gun is going to be used. So we sort of have a perfect storm here where we have a lot of conflict and we have a lot of weapons. And unfortunately, people are turning to those to solve problems instead of more peaceful measures.
So we're hearing these conflicting reports. Initially, we heard, and this is common in any kind of breaking situation like this, initially we heard it might be 2 groups who got into some sort of altercation and then shots were fired. Now we're hearing that it might have been a random attack. What strikes you about this? Is it just too early to tell?
You know, without knowing what was going on in the business, I mean, it sounds like this is a bowling alley that it potentially that is somewhere that where you will find a significant amount of people. But the early reports were that there was some sort of conflict that may have transpired prior to this and being a catalyst for the potential gunfire. So there's just no way of knowing until we have more information from the first responders.
So we've been talking to you in earlier hours in this newscast about Tennessee and what happened there in Nashville. Talk about the police response and readiness plans that law enforcement around the country goes through when something like this happens in Nashville. Do you think that police are on alert and local authorities are on alert following yesterday's violence?
Well, I think what you find is that first responders, and particularly law enforcement, have been trained now to respond to active shooting situations. And the response that you saw both in Tennessee and in Illinois is really based on their training, that they're going to respond to shots fired. They're going to come in ready. They're not going to stand safely outside, but they're going to make a dynamic entry and move toward that gunfire. This was a major change in law enforcement over the last few decades in response specifically to active shooters. In the Tennessee situation, that obviously resulted in a lot of saved lives. The 6 officers that responded to that call recognized immediately that there was a public safety threat to the people in the area and began evacuating folks. So I think that a lot goes into law enforcement training and the situational awareness that these officers had to recognize that this was a public safety threat way beyond just the immediate area and started evacuating folks. In the Rockford situation, obviously it was transpiring when they were arriving, and they need to secure the environment, but also protecting people as they move through it. So that is a much more fluid and dynamic and dangerous situation for law enforcement.
And there's been a lot of talk in recent years about soft targets. You know, we are on alert all the time for terroristic activities. Of course, we can't draw that conclusion here. It's way too early for that. But talk about the significance of soft targets and how law enforcement has to navigate situations where there are a lot of people gathered, innocent victims, and they have to get them to safety when there are weapons involved.
Yes, you know, this is a constant training challenge for law enforcement, but it's important to remember that the vast majority of gun violence actually is interpersonally driven, that it is not driven in a terroristic way, that folks are targeting large groups of people in public areas. The vast majority of gun violence actually originates with suicide. Nearly 60% of the folks that lose their lives to firearms are to suicide. So it's important to remember that, and that we just don't know enough at this moment about these other 2 incidences to draw any connection, other than this is a ongoing challenge for the U.S. with its gun violence problem.
Given that context, what comes to your mind, having, you know, experienced so many of these types of situations? What comes to your mind when you hear yet another shooting with at least 3 people involved?
You know, my thoughts immediately go, obviously, to the first responders and their safety, and then to the general public. But secondarily, that these are traumatic incidents, and that the healing, the time that it takes for communities, for those affected directly by this, often is a lifetime of recovery. And that it's very important that social services be provided, and that those folks that are in and near these critical incidences, including the first responders, seek out each other, talk about this, and avail themselves of social service and mental health support.